What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue here with my 2024 college football schedule preview and projected record series. Up next are the Oklahoma Sooners. Before we preview their schedule for 2024 and give them an early projected record based on how tough that schedule is, let's take a look at what Oklahoma did back in 2023. Here were my projections and predictions last year for the Oklahoma Sooners. My projection for them was 10-2, and then my prediction for them was also 10-2, and that's exactly what Oklahoma did last year. This team did go 10-2, and again, this is based off of the regular season. But if you want to count their bowl game loss to Arizona, like I said yesterday with Arizona's video, if you have not seen that video, be sure to check it out. If you count their bowl loss to Arizona, this team officially went 10-3 overall last year in 2023. So I was right on the money with Oklahoma's projections and predictions last year from the regular season. They did go 10-2, and my projection and predictions for them last year was 10-2. And obviously Oklahoma played in their last year, of course, in the Big 12. Here was the schedule last year for Oklahoma. You look at who they played in the non-conference, had to play Arkansas State, SMU, and Tulsa on the road, so they didn't really have a tough non-conference schedule. Then you look at the two losses that they suffered last year in 2023. They lost to Kansas and both Oklahoma State here, both on the road on October the 28th and November the 4th, so they ended up losing both of those games out of the Big 12. Those were very tough losses, especially for Oklahoma, because this team was undefeated going into both of those games, or I shouldn't say the Kansas game. After that loss, they went, with one loss against Oklahoma State, but that was really the last chance that they had in order to make a college football playoff spot. But Oklahoma, they went 10-2 last year, of course, in their last year of the conference for the Big 12. Now this year, they're heading to the SEC. Let's now look ahead to 2024 for Oklahoma. Here is the schedule for Oklahoma in 2024. Before we go game by game and preview this entire schedule here for Oklahoma, let's take a look at who they will play in the non-conference. So this is their non-conference schedule. They will play Temple, Houston, Tulane, and Maine, all here at home in the non-conference. So not a really tough non-conference schedule if you're an Oklahoma fan. I think this non-conference schedule is definitely very winnable for this Oklahoma team. Temple is a group of 5 team. I know that. Tulane is also a group of 5 team. I think Tulane is a little bit of a better team than Temple out of the group of 5 teams in this non-conference. And then you got Houston, a team that is, in the Big 12 now. They didn't play them last year, of course, but I think they definitely, think they will play them this year, of course. Houston, obviously, a Big 12 team. But now with Oklahoma heading to the SEC, this is now officially a non-conference game. So that's the non-conference schedule. They will play all their non-conference games here at home this year. Let's go back to the original schedule now for Oklahoma. And let's go game by game now and preview this entire schedule here for the Sooners. They will start things off here with Temple on August 31st. And then after that, they get Houston here at home on September the 7th. And then they play Tulane here at home as well on September the 14th. So they will start out with 3 out of their 4 non-conference games here to kick off the season. So I think Oklahoma has a really big chance to start out 3-0 in 2024. And then they open up SEC play here against Tennessee at home on September the 21st. That'll be their first official SEC game as an SEC football team. And then after that, they play their first official road game of the SEC, and that's on the road at Auburn. Very tough place to play here for Oklahoma to begin their SEC play on the road. This game will be on September the 28th, and then they get a bye week here after the last weekend of the month of September. They do get a bye week here in the first weekend of the month of October. Then there's that big game against Texas here on October the 12th. Of course, a neutral site game here between these two teams every single year by year. And this game was really close last year. Came down to the wire. It came down to a last-second touchdown. And Oklahoma was able to beat Texas last year. This game will be, of course, in Dallas like it always is. And then after that, they play South Carolina here at home on October the 19th. And then it's Ole Miss here on the road on October 26th. Another very tough road game here on the schedule for Oklahoma. And then they get to the month of November. They'll play Maine here, one of their other non-conference games here on November 2nd. And then they play Missouri on the road here on November 9th. Really big of a trap game there for this Oklahoma team on that Missouri game on the road on November November the 9th. They do get a bye week after that game, and it comes at a really good time because you're playing Alabama here at home on November 23rd, and then you got LSU here on the road to end things out on November 30th. So that is the schedule for Oklahoma in 2024. My thoughts on this schedule for their first year of the SEC. You got a favorable non-conference schedule, of course, but you do got some tough road games with Auburn, Ole Miss, and LSU and Missouri. Missouri, definitely not a very tough place to play, but this was a really good Missouri team last year. But those three games, Auburn, Ole Miss, and LSU, all on the road, are very tough places to play. But I think almost every single one of their games here on this schedule are definitely winnable here for Oklahoma. Let's now get to the projection here for this Oklahoma team. And this is not an official prediction. This is simply a projection based on how tough their schedule is. This is the scale I use here for my projections. If it's a 1% game in the red, these are games where Oklahoma has no chance of competing in and also not really able to win those games as well. 20% games in the orange, these are games where Oklahoma will be about a couple touchdowns of underdogs. 40% games in the yellow will be games where Oklahoma will be about a heavy underdog in by about a touchdown. 50-50 games will stay in the white, games that I think can go either way. 60% games in the purple, these are games where Oklahoma will be favored by at least a touchdown. 80% games in the blue, these are going to be games where Oklahoma will be favored by at least a couple of touchdowns. And then the 99% games here in the green, these are the easy wins here for Oklahoma. And that's the percentage that we always start here with my projections. So we'll start with the easy wins here for Oklahoma at 99% here in the green. And I think you can count these games as automatic wins here for Oklahoma. And that's Temple and Maine. So I think both of these games, Oklahoma will be favored by at least by more than 3 touchdowns. Both of them at least over 95%. I know Temple is a group of 5 team, but Temple is not really that good of a program in the group of 5 level, so I think this game will be at least over 95%. I don't see Oklahoma struggling in both of these games, and I think they take care of business definitely against Maine, because that game is really closer to 99% in my opinion. So I think both of these games, you can count them as automatic wins here for Oklahoma. That is 2 easy wins for you in this projection for the Sooners as well. Let's go to the next percentage now. The games where Oklahoma will be favored by at least a couple of touchdowns in the blue. And I think you got 3 of them on this schedule: Houston, Tulane, and South Carolina. These are all 3 home games here for Oklahoma. I know Houston is a Big 12 team. They are a Power 5 team, but I don't think they're on the level of Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is a more talented team than Houston. And Houston didn't really have a good season last year. So, again, this is based off of where the teams were from last year as well. Tulane was a pretty good team. They were a pretty good Group of 5 team. I would put this game in the purple, but I'm going to stick with it here and put it in the blue, just because I think Oklahoma has more talent compared to Tulane on, their roster and everything. And I don't know what the roster looks like this year for Tulane either, so I don't really know what to expect from Tulane. I know they won 11 games last year, but I think this game is definitely a favorable one here for Oklahoma. And then South Carolina, pretty much the only SEC game that I do see them winning by, or actually like maybe being favored by a couple of touchdowns and also double digits here. South Carolina is a program that seems like it's really not heading in the right direction. It's been up and down as a program there for Shane Beamer. I think he'll have his South Carolina team motivated this year, but again, South Carolina didn't have a really good season last year as well, and they even missed a bowl game last year, so that's the reason why I'm putting this one in the blue. I don't have any purple games on this schedule for Oklahoma. The games where they'll be favored by at least a touchdown, and when I look at the rest of the schedule, this was a very tough projection as well for Oklahoma. This is a team that's heading into their first year of the conference. Pretty much the rest of the games here on their schedule are definitely 50-50 games in my opinion. You got from September the 21st all the way to November the 30th. Tennessee at Auburn, Texas in Dallas, Ole Miss on the road, Missouri on the road, Alabama at home, and LSU on the road. These are definitely all 50-50 games in my opinion. I think these are all very winnable games for Oklahoma as well. I think Oklahoma does have the talent to compete at least with all these SEC teams, but it's going to be very tough. It's going to be very tough for them to win some of these games. I'm not going to say they're going to win them all, but I think they do have a chance to at least win some of these games that you're seeing in the 50-50 range. Let's say they split those games. Let's say they win all their games here. Like Tennessee, for example, they win that game. They win Texas there, and they also beat Alabama. That would give you 3 wins. But let's say they lose all their road games. I mean, that would give you probably a projection of 8-4. And speaking of that, let's get into the projected record here here for Oklahoma. And again, this is not an official prediction. This is simply a projection based on how tough this schedule is. So you count the green games and blue games as automatic wins. You count the green games as automatic wins, and then the blue games are somewhat wins, but we count them as wins anyway. Then you split those 50-50 games and also average out at 50%. And like I said, I don't have any underdog games here for Oklahoma either. I think all these games are very winnable, and I'm going to give you a projected record for Oklahoma at 8-4. So that's how the projected record would come out to be for the Sooners. And again, I think all these 50-50 games that you're seeing in the white from September the 21st all the way to November the 30th from Tennessee to LSU, these are definitely all very winnable games, and I think they have a chance to really compete in all these games. And like I said, it's Oklahoma's first year in the conference. I don't know what to expect from this team, and that's why it's so kind of tough to do this a little bit early. I think Oklahoma, their schedule is not really that tough. Again, they got some tough road games, but again, I think they're going to have a lot of 50-50 games this year in their first year of the conference. So that is how the projection came out to be 8-4 for me for this Oklahoma team. And again, those games that you're seeing, the green and blue, those are automatic wins, and then you split those 50-50 games and average them out at 50%, and that would give you a projected record here for this Oklahoma team at 8-4. So that is my official projection here for this Oklahoma team. Give me your thoughts on this Oklahoma team down in the comments below. What do you think their worst case scenario is, and what do you think their best case scenario is for 2024? Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.